Imposter syndrome. What does that even mean? Imposter syndrome. Maybe when someone imposes something on you, right? No. Hello guys, welcome to Real Talk with Sachi. I'm glad to have you here today with me. What is imposter syndrome? Let me define that, right? So imposter syndrome, it's a psychological pattern, where individuals, always have this fear and always doubt their capabilities. When you have imposter syndrome, it often leads you to persistent fear, persistent anxiety. You always doubt your success, your accomplishments, and you always have this this feeling that someone you might get exposed as fraud, right? So when you have imposter syndrome, or when an individual have an imposter syndrome, what that does is it keeps creating this fear, this anxiety in you, right? You always doubt your accomplishments. You always feel you're not good enough. Yeah, that's the word. Like, it creates this sense of inadequacy in you. So, but that's not true, right? I mean, when you work hard, when you work hard and you earn yourself some success, some level of success, right? You shouldn't be afraid. You shouldn't be having this fear of someone waking up one day to expose you as fraud. That's a psychological pattern, and it can be taken care of, right? So today I'm going to be discussing this imposter syndrome, how I struggled with imposter syndrome. I think before I came to graduate school, before I became a graduate student, I can't really remember having imposter syndrome. Maybe because I was always, on top of my games. I'm not sure, but I can say that, when I arrived the United States in 2023 for my graduate studies. So because of the academic gap, right, the where I come from and the system of academics here, it's totally different. So here we read more, you have this one-on-one mentorship with your professor or with your faculty. I mean, this doesn't mean that where I come from that we don't study, right? But I think here you are mandated to read, right? The system is structured in such a way that you have to read, because you come to class, you discuss what you've read, So when I arrived the United States for my graduate studies in 2023, there was this fear. All of a sudden, like, I was engrossed with fear, and it was so worrisome that I started having this sense of inadequacy, right? I started doubting the whole process of me coming to this place. Am I really enough? I'm good enough at this? Would I even strive in this program? I remember every morning I wake up around 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. with this fear. My heart will be so heavy, like I'll be in pain. And while these things were happening to me, I was asking myself, what is really going on? Because I'm someone that, I'm this kind of person that, like, I'm a go-getter, if I'm to use that word. Yeah, I'm a go-getter. I know how to go for what I want, right? So but when I came to the US for my graduate studies, it was a different thing altogether. I go to class in fear. I come back in fear. While I'm in classroom, fear. And maybe because in my class, I was the only African in my class, and so I struggled with this. I struggled with accents. So sometimes I don't understand the accent. And of course, my professors and my cohorts also, they were so good to me that they had to reduce the pace, the speed in their speech, so I could understand what they are saying. And sometimes I remember at the end of the class, sometimes I go home just grabbing only 20% of 2 hours, 30 minutes class, and then in the bus, I will cry as I'm going home. I will come back and I'll be asking God, what's really going on? Is it that I'm not supposed to be here? Does it mean that graduate school is not for me? Why can't I concentrate? Why can't I study? Why am I always feeling this? Why this anxiety every time? Like, I'm always afraid. Even when I'm writing my assignment, I'm already having this doubt that this is never going to be good. Like, this is not going to be worth it. So it was very tough for me. And guys, let me tell you something. You see, where I come from, or in Africa, we always think that it's only when you have psychological problems, that's when you meet a counselor or when you meet a psychiatrist. That is not true. Those services are very important for your mental health, because in my case, when I was going through this imposter syndrome, when I started having this doubt and this fear, in me, I started questioning everything, that surrounded me, in this time. So I remember reaching out to a few of my friends, and I was like, this is my experience currently. Like, I'm always waking up every morning with so much fear and anxiety. Like, in fact, so if someone coughs, like, I get agitated. I'm like, what is going on? So it was at that point that I was referred to the school counselors. Of course, even in the orientation, right, in the graduate school orientation, we were exposed to the resources. Because one thing about the schools here is they have these resources available for you at your disposal, right? You make use of them at free, no payment, because they understand that they prioritize your success, they prioritize your mental health, right? So the universities here provide these resources for you. So for me, so it was important, or it was very necessary, that I started seeing a counselor. I registered to the school counseling center. I started going there. Of course, how it works one-on-one with the counselors. Started asking me some questions, which I was answering. And then at some point, it felt like the counseling wasn't working. Not because the person doing the job wasn't doing it right, but there is this, I wasn't convinced enough. Like, I put this bridge, between myself and what the counselor was saying, right? I didn't even allow whatever the therapeutic section to work on me. So I proceeded to see a psychiatrist in my school. Yeah. And even as I was seeing a psychiatrist, I didn't share it with my friends, because some people might think I'm now going mad, because where I come from, people in the psychiatric are people that are sick mentally. So when I started seeing the psychiatrist and started explaining, asking me questions and everything, so the counselor or the psychiatrist, helped me to map out, some routines, studies timetable, when to do this, when to do that, how to engage with people, how to get engaged, communicate with people, socialize, because, coming here, one of the things that also, that I finally understood that caused this imposter syndrome was, a change in environment, right? I mean, Africa is like 2 continents away from the US, and coming here, it's a different ball game, different culture, different people, different food, different academic system. The weather is different. Everything is different. There is nothing similar to what I was used to. So I was battling with all of this at that point, and it affected my psychology, right? It affected me mentally. And, sometimes I remember going to some events in the US here, and when they display food, I wouldn't even find what I'm interested in. I will go home hungry, or sometimes I will eat before even going to the event. So this whole cultural, will I call it cultural shift, right? It was one of the things that compounded, and created this fear and anxiety in me. So, but one thing was interesting while all these things was happening to me is the fact that despite the imposter syndrome, right, despite the fact that I always had this fear, I still finished my assignment. I still finished my deadline. I still met my deadline. How that happened, I can't tell, but I know that most of the times, because of the fear and the doubts, and I always work towards the deadline. I will not have the time. I will not give myself that room to even start working on my assignment in time. So sometimes 2 days to the deadline, that is when I'm now working tireless, like so hard and under pressure to get this thing done. And trust me, when I submit those papers, the result comes back showing or telling that I didn't settle well to do this. So the fear, the doubt was there. I mean, this is not just peculiar to people in the academics. Imposter syndrome can be you can encounter it in so many things. It could be you getting a job in a managerial role, and then all of a sudden you start feeling like, oh, you are not enough, you are not qualified to be here. And then what imposter syndrome also does to you is that it always creates this avenue where you would think that, oh, you are there by luck, right? Guys, there is nothing like luck. It is preparedness, like when you are prepared and opportunity comes, like preparation meets opportunity, that's what gets you to success, So there shouldn't be any reason when we individuals, or when I accomplish a task, or when I'm successful, and then I'll come and attribute it to luck. That doesn't exist. I mean, for me, I don't believe in luck, right? So this imposter syndrome, it's a psychological pattern. It's a very difficult one. I mean, in my case, I was even attributing it to village people. I mean, why would I wake up every morning and then I'm afraid to even go out, to go and read? Guys, do you know that if I pick up a book to read, it feels like someone pours this fear in me. Like, it's now like a water. They pour this fear in me, and then I open book, I'll start tearing, and then when I cover it, I'm okay. When I open my book again, the fear comes again. And then I was now thinking, maybe my village people has followed me to the United States. I mean, for my audience who doesn't understand what village people mean, this means like when you think people, something you're experiencing in your life is diabolic, right? When you think it's from people back home, they are the ones sending you arrows and all that, which in most cases it can happen. But in my case, I realized that it was later on that I realized that this is an imposter syndrome. This is me, having self-doubt in what I can achieve. And it's me having, always afraid that, someone might wake up tomorrow and say that, you are not supposed to be here. You are fraud, right? You didn't do this yourself. But meanwhile, I did it. So I was attributing it to village people. I was attributing it to what someone has done. But I needed help. And I thank goodness that I sought for such help, and it came. And how did that come? I visited the psychiatrists, I visited the counselors, I started praying as well. Like, I prayed so well, because if you've listened to my previous episodes, you know that I can't overemphasize on the importance of prayer, communication with God, because I started telling him that you brought me here, you brought me to the United States for my graduate studies. I can't come here and mess up. I can't come here to lose guard, right? And also, I would also say that one of the things that also caused this imposter syndrome, or why this fear or this anxiety was so much, in me, was the fact that the expectations, were high. And these high expectations, I think it was me overthinking it. Because I was thinking that, my mentors are waiting for me to graduate with distinction, and I have to start from the very beginning. The very moment I arrived in the US, I have to start acing everything, right? So, and I'm like, if I fail now, the whole world will laugh at me, because I already published that I'm in the United States on Facebook, on LinkedIn, so how would I feel? So those thoughts, everything just engrossed me. But my mentors, I didn't even realize that my mentors, these are people who have also passed through this process. So they understand what it means to leave your confined home, your home, to another place, that you will be challenged with so many things, with culture, a lot of things will unite to make you uncomfortable, or make it, very difficult in the beginning, but eventually you would succeed. In my case, currently, I'm not so, what I would say is that I'm adjusting gradually, right? My first semester, my spring semester is somehow better than my first semester, because right now I think I'm getting used to the system. I now know what to do. I know most places in my school, because guys, when I joined my school in fall 2023, the buildings, everything was so different. Like, when I'm walking inside the school, like I was so afraid and terrified. Like, I'm like, what is this? Where is this place? I remember entering a bus, and the bus carried me to a different place. So I didn't even realize that we've gotten to my bus station. That happened to me like 2 to 3 times. I know it must have also happened to new people. I mean, it's the same thing, we all encounter when we move to a new environment. So the expectation, I was filled with this thought that, I have to start making A's immediately. Of course, to make good grades, they are very important. For you to be here, you need to make good grades. But mine was different, because I allowed that thought to affect me, right? I allowed it to affect me psychologically. And thank goodness for prayers, thank goodness for the counselors. So guys, please, when you have mental issue, or when you need someone to talk to, please, counselors are there. Sometimes we are afraid to talk to friends or to family members, thinking that, they will expose our secrets in future. Please, psychiatrists are there, counselors are there. It's not only when you are mad that you have to go and meet them. because in my case, that was what I was thinking until I was, exposed to such resources, and I enjoyed every bit of the experience I had with those counselors, right? They helped me to come out of this imposter syndrome. It still comes. I mean, I remember before I launched Real Talk with Sochi, I had finished preparing everything. In fact, my channel trailer was ready, and I've already, made so much noise. The publicity was huge. Facebook, Instagram, name it, WhatsApp, right? So that morning that I was to release my channel's official trailer, that fear came again. I started questioning, oh, this video is not good. Oh, people will critique this. Oh, this is not nice. Oh, did I even do this? Like, the fear came again. And then I remember praying, I'm like, God, I can't come this far to allow this thought to just destroy everything that you and I have worked together, right? I remember praying so hard, and I went ahead to publish it, and the rest is history, So this is me saying, guys, if you can relate to what I'm saying, if you know that sometimes you have this doubt in you that, oh, what you have, you're not qualified or you're not supposed to be there, share your comments. I want to see your comments or your experience or how you battle with imposter syndrome. So guys, aside, seeking for help, meeting counselors or psychiatrists, or, even praying to God, which is very important, but there are also, some possible steps that you can take, to handle this imposter syndrome. One is always, recognizing your accomplishment, right? Celebrate your success, no matter how little they are. It gives you this sense of, knowing that, oh, you are doing something. Because sometimes we wait for when the success is so huge, and then we'll announce it. And most of the time, such big win, it never comes, or it doesn't come, as we expect them, right? So when you recognize your strengths, when you recognize your accomplishments, and you always celebrate it, it helps you to, it makes you not to think that you're not qualified for something. And also, another way you can, I also help myself currently I always challenge those thoughts, one thing is to have this issue. Another thing is to have it and know that is a problem. That you have this you are aware that you have this issue. So now you know that such thoughts will come, and then when they come, you don't have to wait. You have to take your change it immediately. You have to fight those negative thoughts when it comes. Oh, just like it comes as Sochima, this thing you are doing, this YouTube is never going to be good. People will never like it. That's a lie. That's not true. That's not what God said. That's not. And as far as I'm showing consistently, this is not even about YouTube. It can be anything, right? When you know what you are doing, or when you believe in yourself, when such thoughts come, or when the fear, when that sensibility, when it comes, you just have to overcome it, right? You just have to change that thought immediately. It's not going to be easy, but when you know about this, when you are in this self-awareness, right, and it comes, it helps you to get rid of such thoughts immediately. And also, guys, I also say that you also have to know that, look, first of all, you tell yourself that you're not in a competition with anybody. I keep saying that the competition is not against humans. It's not against anyone. It's against poverty, right? We are competing against poverty. We don't want to be poor. We want to have that good life, right? So when you know that you are working on your own pace, you are not competing with anybody, there is no need for you to start feeling inadequate in what you do, right? There is no need for you to start feeling that, oh, you are not qualified, when you start comparing yourself with other people, which in my case, it happened to me so well that I will go to class because of the way my cohort speaks so well, and then I always I was always comparing myself with them, forgetting that I am unique in my own way. I'm different. My writing style is different. The way I speak is different. I don't have to imitate them. I don't have to be like anyone to prove a point, right? So when you are in this constant comparison between what you can do and what other people are doing, always placing yourself lower, that is also one of the things that can cause this imposter syndrome. So knowing that you are not in a competition with anybody, you are unique, and you need to keep being you, right? For the world to even know you, because if you don't believe in yourself, if you doubt yourself, how can someone else believe in you? So if you know that you passed through this, please share your experience. I want to see it. And guys, if you also love what I'm doing, on Real Talk with Sochi, please watch this video, comment, share it, and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you and bye.